CEO James risks everything to find Tu Diep. Will their love survive this final test? The forest, a gaping maw of shadows, swallowed the last sliver of twilight. James stood at its menacing edge, his figure etched against the dying light, a solitary sentinel against an encroaching despair. His suit, once a symbol of his power, was now stained with mud and sweat, a testament to days of relentless, agonizing pursuit. His face was a mask of grim determination, etched with exhaustion, but burning with an unyielding purpose. Tu Diep, her name was a silent scream in his heart, a constant echo in his mind. She was out there, somewhere in this sprawling wilderness, injured and alone, and every passing moment felt like a grain of sand slipping through his desperate fingers. The thought of her, lost and vulnerable, twisted his gut with a pain sharper than any physical blow. He had chased phantom clues and false hopes, each leading to a crushing disappointment. The villager's tip, a brief, blinding flash of light in the overwhelming darkness, had led him to a girl by a stream, a cruel mirage that only deepened his torment. His mother, the stoic matriarch, had collapsed from shock upon hearing the news, a stark reminder of the widespread pain Tu Diep's disappearance had caused. Yet, even as hope dwindled to a fragile ember, James would not give up. Not when Tu Diep's fate hung in the balance, a pawn in Mr. John's sinister game. He pushed off the tree he'd been leaning against, the bark rough against his weary hand. "I'll go back into that forest," he'd declared earlier, his voice low but firm, resonating with a resolve that silenced all protests. "Even if I have to turn over every leaf, cross every stream, I will find her. Rain or shine, I won't turn back." It was a vow whispered to the encroaching night, a promise to the woman who was his world. No polished shoes, no executive car, just mud-caked boots and an unbreakable will, like a soldier returning to a battlefield where the only prize was the beating heart of his love. He plunged back into the echoing depths, each step a testament to a love that defied all logic, all danger. A web of treachery and a daughter's desperate choice. Meanwhile, in a secluded room, Mr. John's fury was a palpable force. News of Tu Diep's escape had shattered his composure, twisting his usually cold features into a grotesque mask of rage. A wine glass, brittle under the force of his wrath, exploded against the table. A weak girl with an injured leg hiding in the forest, and you idiots still couldn't hold her. He snarled, his eyes burning into the trembling men before him. No excuses were tolerated. Two henchmen were dragged out, their pained cries echoing from the courtyard as a brutal lesson was delivered. Mr. John then turned to the remaining men, his voice a low, deliberate menace that chilled them to the bone. "I don't care if you have to tear the entire forest apart or burn that village to the ground. Find Tu Diep before the cops or that bastard James get to her. If you don't, you already know what's coming." Cold sweat trickled down their faces. This wasn't a command, it was a final, terrifying warning. He stared out the window, a sinister smirk playing on his lips. If that girl ends up in James' hands or the police's, then the game is over. But if I get her first, the game will take a very different turn. Tu Diep, he knew, was not merely escaped prey. She was the crucial key that could unravel everything he had meticulously built in the shadows. Later that afternoon, as Mr. John discussed shady plans with Trang's father, Mr. Wong, his phone rang. A man's urgent voice on the line, "Boss. We just spotted someone who looks like Tu Diep near the edge of the forest, close to the abandoned huts." Mr. John's eyes gleamed with a predatory light. "Good, this time don't let her escape. Capture that girl alive, understood?" Hidden behind the door, Trang overheard every chilling word. Her heart hammered against her ribs. Tu Diep was alive, and Mr. John knew it, her fists clenched. If she didn't act fast, Tu Diep would fall into his clutches, and Trang knew, with a sickening certainty, that would mean the end. The next morning, under the guise of visiting James's ailing mother, Trang entered his home, her outward calm belying the storm raging within. When James momentarily stepped away, she seized his hand, her whisper urgent. "James." "I think Mr. John's people, they found a trace of Lida Deep." James froze, his mind reeling. What? What did you say? How do you know that?" Trang hesitated, her gaze faltering. She couldn't reveal her father's secret collusion with Mr. John. It would implicate him, and she couldn't bear that. "Please, James, don't ask how I know. Just trust me. You have to find Lida Deep before they get to her. If not, I'm afraid she won't have another chance." Though questions swirled in James's mind, the genuine concern and urgency in Trang's eyes resonated deep within him. He nodded. "I've been trying, but I still haven't found any solid leads. If you know anything, if you can, Trang, can you help me?" Trang took a deep breath, making a decision that defied her father's will. "I'll act as a spy. I'll listen in, monitor Mr. John's side. If I find anything at all related to Lida Deep, I'll let you know immediately." James clasped her hand, his eyes filled with gratitude. "Thank you, Trang. Just a little more time, just knowing that Lida Deep is still alive. I'll never give up." At that moment, neither of them knew that the perilous race between light and darkness had officially begun. A spy trapped, a lover's despair. Later that afternoon, a fading sunlight stretched across the winding dirt road leading to the old house. Trang, cautious, stumbled upon Mr. John secretly conferring with two unfamiliar henchmen behind her home. She slowed, hiding behind a crumbling stone wall, her heart pounding. Their voices were hushed, barely audible, punctuated by Mr. John's low commands and his darting glances, wary of being overheard. Trang strained to catch their words, but the specifics were too faint. She only managed to see the two henchmen leave on a motorbike. Acting quickly, she decided to follow them, desperate to uncover a vital clue about Lida Deep. But just minutes later, one of them noticed her trailing behind. They stopped, turned back, suspicion clouding their faces. Panic surged through Trang. She spun around and fled back home, her heart racing, legs trembling with fear. As she reached the gate, she froze. Her father, Mr. Wong, stood waiting, his expression grim, lips pressed tightly. The air in the yard felt heavy, frozen still. "Where were you just now?" he asked, his voice low and cold. Trang said nothing. Before she could respond, he stepped closer, his voice erupting with fury. "You think I don't know? You followed my men. You want to betray this family for that girl?" Trang tried to remain calm, but tears welled in her eyes. "Dad, this is wrong. You don't understand. Mr. John is dangerous. If Lida Deep falls into his hands, it's not just her, James too." "Enough," Mr. Wong bellowed, his eyes red with rage. "I've sacrificed my entire life to repay this blood debt for our family. You don't understand anything, everything I've done. It's for you, for this family. And now you side with the enemy." Trang couldn't hold back anymore. "You're sacrificing everything for a grudge I don't even know is real. You can't even tell right from wrong anymore. I won't close my eyes and go along with this." Mr. Wong trembled with fury, unable to utter another word. He snatched her phone and barked, "From now on, you're not stepping foot outside this house. No phone, no contact with anyone. I won't let you ruin everything." Before Trang could react, he dragged her into her room and locked the door from the outside. The sound of the bolt sliding shut echoed like the end of all her chances to reach the outside world. Trang collapsed to the floor, tears streaming down her face, not just from being imprisoned, but from the crushing despair of knowing Lida Deep was in danger, and she, the only one who could warn James, was now utterly powerless. Alone against the darkness, on the other side of the forest, James continued his tireless search, combing through every narrow trail, every thick bush, undeterred by the scorching sun or the gusting wind. With every step on the damp forest floor, he silently wondered, had Lida Deep passed through here? Was she hiding nearby, injured, waiting to be saved? He refused to give up. A powerful instinct insisted Lie to Deep was still alive. That strong, resilient girl was still fighting somewhere out there, even if only with the last ounce of her strength. And he, the man who loved her with everything he had, couldn't turn his back. Throughout his search, James kept trying to call Trang, the only person who might still have access to Mr. John's movements. But from morning until evening, every call failed to connect. The number you have dialed is currently unreachable. Please try again later. That cold, automated voice echoed over and over again, striking at his already exhausted spirit like a hammer. He stared at his phone screen, then back into the dark forest ahead, refusing to believe the silence. He tried again and again, but it was no use. Trang, the one who had promised to monitor Mr. John and report back, had now vanished without a trace. No, Trang wouldn't stay silent like this unless something's happened to her. The thought clenched his heart. Despair crept in like fog. He leaned against a nearby tree, his head bowed, gasping for breath, unsure whether it was from exhaustion or the crushing wave of emotions swelling in his chest. In the fading light of dusk, he felt more alone than ever. Lie to Deep, where are you? Please don't leave me behind. His voice whispered into the wind, blending with the rustling of leaves and the sound of his heart screaming inside his chest. But deep down he knew, until Lie to Deep came back, he wouldn't stop searching, even if he had to walk alone to the very end. A glimmer in the gloom, as twilight deepened, painting the forest in shades of bruised purple and inky black, James's eyes, gritty from lack of sleep, scanned the uneven terrain. The chill of the night began to seep into his bones, matching the growing coldness of despair. He'd covered miles, yelled Lie to Deep's name until his throat was raw, and found nothing but the mocking silence of the wilderness. He stumbled over a gnarled root, catching himself on a thorny bush, a new tear in his already tattered sleeve. His flashlight beam, growing weaker, flickered, casting erratic shadows that danced like mocking spirits. Just as he was about to collapse, his gaze fell upon something utterly out of place, half buried beneath a pile of fallen leaves. It wasn't a natural formation, nor was it a piece of debris from the forest. It was a small, intricately carved wooden bird, its wings outstretched as if in mid-flight. His heart lurched. This bird, he remembered it. Lie to Deep had carved it herself years ago, a small, whimsical trinket she always kept in her pocket for good luck. She never went anywhere without it. His breath hitched. This wasn't a coincidence, this was a sign. She had been here, she was close. The exhaustion that had threatened to consume him vanished, replaced by a surge of adrenaline so powerful it made his vision sharpen, his senses hum. He looked up from the bird, his eyes now sweeping the surrounding area with renewed intensity, noticing things he'd overlooked before. The ground here was softer, muddier, unlike the dry leaves of the higher ground. A faint, almost imperceptible drag mark led deeper into the dense undergrowth, away from any established path. This was it, not a false lead, not a cruel trick of fate. This was Lie to Deep. She was injured, yes, which meant she couldn't move easily. And she had left this behind, perhaps intentionally. As a desperate breadcrumb, Mr. John's men might have passed over it, dismissing it as a child's toy. But for James, it was a guiding star in the overwhelming darkness. He scooped up the wooden bird, clutching it tightly in his palm, its smooth, cool surface a tangible connection to the woman he loved. He pushed forward, following the faint drag mark, the fear still a cold knot in his stomach, but now intertwined with a burning, fierce hope. He didn't know what dangers lay ahead, or how close Mr. John's men might be, or what state he would find Lie to Deep in. But he knew, with every fiber of his being, that he was closer than ever. This was the final stretch, the ultimate test. His love for Lie to Deep was his compass, his strength, his reason for defying the very limits of human endurance. The quiet forest, once a tomb of despair, now held the promise of a miracle.